Welcome. In this module, 8-step methodology for security hardening, third in the series, we're going to look at the next steps. Step 5, implement the controls on the test setup. So this is where the action actually starts. We've made the checklist. We've put something into the SOP so that it's documented, becomes a part of the culture, it's noted down, becomes a part of the documented security activities. And before that, we've actually done research. And before that, in step number 1, we identified the assets. Step 5, implement controls on the test setup. Here, the relevant IT operations team, which has the ownership of the IT asset, they will implement the controls in a test setup, not on the production, in a test setup. And that's very important. And the reason for that is that when we implement controls, we do not know what the impact will be on the application. And sometimes in what can happen is that the entire server may go down and there may be impact on the application as well. So the idea is to test all of this in the test environment. We update the checklist in this step because when we implement the controls, there may be some controls which are successful in implementation and there may be some which are not. And then we update the checklist accordingly. We update the SOP if necessary because if there's something changing in the SOP, and you send the checklist back to the information security team. Another view of the entire flow from step 1 to 8, and we just talked about step 5, and then we move on to step number 6, validation of control implementation. So in step number 6, validation of control implementation, the idea here is the security concept of maker-checker. Somebody does the work, somebody checks it. And it's also called the 4 eyes principle sometimes, because in security space, especially with financial applications or where there's a security function going on, 2 eyes means a person who's doing the work, and then 2 eyes, another 2 eyes is another pair of eyes from another person, not the same person, and these 2 people do a maker-checker function. And one develops, one checks, so that the possibility of human error is avoided. And the information security team is the team that is the independent team which will do the validation. They have to be selected as per the appropriate domain knowledge. So if the validation requires or is being done for, let's say, network assets, then you pick up somebody from information security team who has network-related domain knowledge and experience. If it's for a system, a Linux server, you go back to the information security team to come and check the work of the IT operations team, someone with experience of the system, of the Linux system. You conduct a preparation before you actually go and do the validation exercise, and the update of the checklist is done with a status column by the information security team. So they add a status column in the checklist, and they write down the date, and if the validation of the particular security control has been done successfully. And sometimes what happens is the IT operations team misses. And if that happens, then they send it back to the IT operations team, and they do the control implementation again. Then they do the validation again, and then you go ahead. Step 7, we're approaching the end. You do the change management process for production. So we're getting ready now to move this into production, which will be done in step 8. But in step 7, we're preparing and we're following the change management process, which is a very important and critical function in information security. So the ISMC team receives the validation status from the previous step from the information security team. The relevant department head of the IT operations team takes up the change management process. There's some documentation involved, there's some forms involved, and prepares the shifting to production. And they do the team lead, the department head of the IT operations team would look at the impact analysis, the rollback mechanism, is business team informed or not, is the downtime window taken or not, and you prepare all of that as well. We come to the step 8, which is you actually, when you have taken a downtime window, you implement the controls now or move the image to the production environment and bring up that image in the production environment, which has the controls already done. And in VM, in virtual spaces, that's very easy because you can easily take down an image and then bring up a new image. So you monitor, after you activate the controls in the production environment, you monitor closely for 24 to 48 hours. This is a part of ISMS 27001. Whenever there's a change in a production environment, you have to monitor. You roll back if there's unforeseen circumstances. And then finally, the IT team SOP is finalized and it becomes an operations task. Thank you.